Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel MTV EduHub.
This is the third video lecture on some basic concept of chemistry. In the second lecture, we have already studied the Dalton's atomic theory, and also we have learned molecular masses and atomic masses. So in this third lecture, we'll be studying mole concept and molar masses, percentage composition, and we'll also learn how to calculate the empirical formula and molecular formula of a compound. Let's start with mole concept. What is the need of mole? Why is mole required? So, atoms and molecules are so small in size that even if they are present in a small quantity in a substance, it is a large number. तो एटम्स एंड मॉलिक्यूल्स का जो साइज है वो इतना छोटा होता है कि अगर वो एक सब्सटेंस में बहुत कम अमाउंट में भी प्रेजेंट है वो एक बहुत लार्ज नंबर बना देता है. सो टू हैंडल सच लार्ज नंबर मोल वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. It is the seventh base quantity for the amount of a substance. Now, what is the meaning of 1 mole? 1 mole is the amount of a substance that contains as many particles or entities as there are atoms in exactly 12 gram of the 12th carbon isotope. तो अगर हम लोग 12 कार्बन का आइसोटोप लेंगे और उसका हम लोग 12 ग्राम लेंगे तो उसमें जितने भी एंटिटीज और पार्टिकल्स है वो किसके इक्वल होता है? इट इज इक्वल टू 1 मोल. ओके, सो नाउ हाउ मेनी एंटिटीज आर प्रेजेंट इन 12 gram of 12th carbon isotopes? That is, how many entities are present in 1 mole? So the amount of entities present in 1 mole has been given a separate name and a symbol. So its name is Avogadro and its symbol is Na, and this is equal to 6.02214076 into 10 to the power 23 particles of the same nature. For example, 1 mole of hydrogen atoms means it is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 atoms, and 1 mole of water molecule is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of water. Now let's see molar mass. Molar mass is the sum of the total mass in grams of all the atoms that make up a mole of a particular molecule. तो मोलर मास क्या है? जब भी आपको एक पर्टिकुलर मॉलिक्यूल का आप एक मोल लोगे एंड उसमें जितने भी एटम्स प्रेजेंट है सबके आप मास को जब आप सम अप कर दोगे तो वो मिलके क्या बना देता है? मोलर मास बना देता है. मोलर मास इज इक्वल टू एटॉमिक मास इज इक्वल टू ग्राम एटॉमिक मास. नाउ लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड बाय टेकिंग द एग्जांपल ऑफ वाटर. What is the molar mass of water? Molar mass of water is 18.02 gram. How did we calculate the molar mass of water as 18.02 gram? Let's understand. 1 mole of water means H2O. In this, we can clearly see 2 atoms of H and 1 atom of oxygen. This means 2 into 1 plus 1 into 16. It means 18 gram. So 1 mole of H2O means 18 gram. Also the atomic mass of H2O is 18 U. Hence molar mass is equal to atomic mass. Now let's see percentage composition. Percentage composition is the percentage by mass of each element in a compound. तो अगर हम एक कंपाउंड में कोई एक एलिमेंट का अगर हम परसेंटेज निकालते हैं विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू मास तो उसको बोलते हैं परसेंटेज कॉम्पोजिशन. इट्स फॉर्मूला इज मास ऑफ दैट एलिमेंट डिवाइडेड बाय मोलर मास ऑफ द कंपाउंड इनटू 100. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड इट बाय टेकिंग एन एग्जांपल दैट इज H2O. What is the molar mass of H2O? The molar mass of H2O is 18 gram. Now we need to calculate the mass percentage of hydrogen. So mass of hydrogen is equal to 2 gram. Therefore percentage of hydrogen is equal to 2 by 18 into 100 is equal to 11.12%. Okay. Now if you want to calculate the mass percentage composition of oxygen, then you must also know the mass of oxygen. So we know the mass of oxygen is 16 gram. Therefore, percentage composition of oxygen is equal to 16 by 18 into 100 is equal to 88.8%. So this is how we can calculate the percentage composition of any element in a compound. Now let's see the last topic and the most important topic of today's lecture, that is empirical formula and the molecular formula. So what is empirical formula? It is a chemical formula that represents only relative number of atoms of each type in a molecule. Okay, so chemical formula जो सिर्फ रिलेटिव नंबर ऑफ एटम्स बताता है हमें एक मॉलिक्यूल का, उसमें एक्चुअल नंबर नहीं पता चलता है, उस फॉर्मूला को हम बोलते हैं एम्पिरिकल फार्मूला. व्हाट इज मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला? द केमिकल फार्मूला दैट रिप्रेजेंट्स एक्चुअल नंबर ऑफ एटम ऑफ ईच टाइप इन अ मॉलिक्यूल आर कॉल्ड मॉलिक्यूलर फार्मूला. तो इस केमिकल फार्मूले के थ्रू हमें एक्चुअल नंबर ऑफ एटम्स पता चलता है एक मॉलिक्यूल का. So let's see an example of benzene. So the molecular formula of benzene is C6H6 and its empirical formula is CH. So in this empirical formula we are just seeing the relative number of atoms of carbon and hydrogen with respect to each other. But in this formula we are seeing the actual number of atoms, that is 6 atom of carbon and 6 atom of hydrogen. Now there are some steps which you must follow to determine these two chemical formulas. Okay, now let's see those steps. So we will first determine the empirical formula, and then with the help of empirical formula we will calculate the molecular formula. So the first step in doing this is to convert the mass percentage to gram. So for our convenience we'll be taking the mass of the compound is 100 and then we'll directly write the mass percentage to gram. For example, if we are taking H2O and we are telling that the mass percentage of oxygen is 40%, so if we take the mass of the H2O as 100 gram, so the mass of oxygen will be 40 gram. Now the next step. The next step is to determine the mole ratio by dividing the masses obtained by respective atomic masses. तो हर एक एलिमेंट का अपना अपना एक एटॉमिक मास होगा. तो जो फर्स्ट स्टेप में जो हम मास निकालते हैं उस मास को हम क्या करेंगे, उनके रिस्पेक्टिव एटॉमिक मासेस से डिवाइड कर देंगे. तो उससे हमें क्या मिल जाएगा, उससे हमें उसका मोल रेशियो मिल जाएगा. Now third step is to make it whole number by dividing the mole value by the smallest number. तो कोई भी कंपाउंड में एक से ज़्यादा ही एटम्स रहेंगे तो सबका अपना अपना एक मोल रेशियो निकलेगा. तो हम लोग को क्या करना पड़ेगा, सारे मोल रेशियो का मतलब होल नंबर में कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा. तो उसको कन्वर्ट करने के लिए हम क्या करेंगे, जो भी मोल सबसे छोटा नंबर में होगा, जो भी मोल रेशियो सबसे छोटा होगा उससे हम बाकी सारे मोल रेशियो को डिवाइड कर देंगे. तो उससे क्या होगा, वो होल नंबर में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. देन विल राइट द एम्पिरिकल formula by mentioning the numbers after writing the symbol of respective element. Okay, now let's see how to calculate the molecular formula. The first step to calculate the molecular formula is to calculate the empirical weight. The empirical weight is calculated with the help of the empirical formula. The next step to calculate the molecular formula is to find N. Now what is N? N is equal to molecular weight by empirical weight. Every compound has its molecular weight and its empirical weight. So when we divide molecular weight by empirical weight, we'll get N. And when we multiply this N with the empirical formula, we'll get our molecular formula. Let us understand this whole process by taking an example. A 5.325 gram sample of methyl benzoate, a compound in perfume, was found to contain 3.758 gram of carbon, 0.316 gram of hydrogen, and 1.251 gram of oxygen. What is the empirical formula if its molar mass is about 136 gram per mole? What is its molecular formula? Now first convert the mass into mass percentage. So for carbon, 3.758 divided by 5.325 into 100, it is equal to 70.57. For hydrogen, 0.316 divided by 5.325 into 100 is equal to 5.93. For oxygen, 1.251 divided by 5.325 into 100 is equal to 23.50. Now we'll determine the mole ratio. How you will determine the mole ratio? Mole ratio is determined by dividing the obtained weight with the atomic weight. The atomic weight of carbon is 12, so dividing 70.57 by 12 we'll get 5.88. Atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, so dividing 5.93 by 1 we'll get 5.93. Atomic mass of oxygen is 16, so dividing 23.50 by 16 we'll get 1.47. So in this whole mole ratio we see that 1.47 is the smallest mole ratio. So to calculate the simplest whole number, we'll divide each of the mole ratio of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen with 1.47. So if we divide the mole ratio of carbon, that is 5.88, by 1.47, we'll get 4. When we'll divide the mole ratio of hydrogen, that is 5.93 by 1.47, we'll again get 4 approximately. When we'll divide oxygen's mole ratio with 1.47, we'll obviously get 1. So therefore the ratio is 4:4:1. Therefore the empirical formula is C4H4O. Now what we have to do is we'll have to calculate the molecular formula. How will calculate the molecular formula? The molecular formula is calculated by determining N. So how will you determine N? N is determined by molecular weight divided by empirical weight. Molecular weight is given as 136 gram. Now we have to calculate the empirical weight. So empirical weight will be 4 into 12 plus 4 into 1 plus 16, and it is equal to 68 gram per mole. So N will be equal to 136 divided by 68. It is equal to 2. So to calculate the molecular formula, we have to multiply 2 with empirical formula. So 2 into C4H4O, and we'll get C8H8O2 as the molecular formula.
So following are the list of topics we will discuss in the next video. If you have any queries regarding today's topic, comment down in the comment section below, and also I have provided the link for today's lecture notes in the description.